This is Hops and Spirits Bar Conversations. Come for the craft beer, bourbon, whiskey, and great drinks. Stay for the conversations. Here's your host, Jonathan Green.
Welcome into another edition of the Hops and Spirits Bar Conversations. I hope you're having a good week. I hope your weather is a little less crazy than it is here in Kentucky. I think over the weekend we had every type of weather in a 10-minute period, not even one day anymore, just a 10-minute period. Sun was shining, hail, snow, rain, you name it. We had it in about 10 minutes. And it just seems to be a wild spring. We have a wild episode for you as we talk Blantons and a month-long challenge with Chad Watson for tasting notes. And we also welcome in country artist, hunter, traveler, TV personality, Lucas Hoge for our conversation. And it's a fun episode. I hope you enjoy it. Also, don't forget to check out our Q&A podcast, Questions and Alcohol, which is available on podcast players now, and YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram for video as well. And check us out at hopspirits.com. But let's not waste any more time and get into the show.
It's almost time. Where did I put those? Here they are. It's time for tasting notes.
Joining us here for another tasting notes is who I'm going to call my whiskey guru, my whiskey guy, Chad Watson, aka My Daily Bourbon on Instagram, part of the Bourbon Life crew. Chad, welcome in.
Hey, thanks for having me, man.
Well, I'm glad to have you back. Been a little too long, I think, and since that time of our last chat, you did something I think is pretty interesting. It's almost like if folks watched Super Size Me, and a couple of those where the guy ate McDonald's for a whole month. I mean, in the whiskey world, I feel like what you did is similar. You did a Blanton's month-long challenge where the only thing you had was Blanton's. So why?
That's a good question, man. Honestly, I had talked about it for months leading up to that. Talked to a few guys at work, and I was like, what's the dumbest thing that I could drink for a month? And it was like the consensus was Blanton's. Not that Blanton's is dumb, but like, what's the one thing that I could talk about for an entire month? Only post about it, only drink it, only shoot videos of it. Because I try to do a video a week. I try to post as much as I can, if not every day, then every other day. And I try to do everything revolving around what I'm doing. So I chose the shortest month of the year. I
noticed that by the way.
Hey, yeah, a lot of people did. The thing with it is that's I don't like to drink the same thing every day. So 28 days after like day 16, I almost had too much. Like I was like, damn, when can I branch out a little bit? But no, there were really so that if you want to have if you want a reason behind it, reason one was, can it be a daily drinker? Can Blanton's be a daily drinker? In the short sense, yes, anything can be a daily drinker. Did I grow to like it more towards the end? Well, yeah, because it's the only thing I drink. But the first pour I had after that was probably the best thing I tasted in a month. I mean, it was amazing. The second reason that I did it was I wanted to see how many people I could upset. And I know that sounds kind of counterintuitive, but you're going to upset two different people. You're going to upset the people who only want Blanton's and like that's the best thing in the world, and then you're going to upset the people who are like, this is stupid. You're just you just want attention. I could care less if I got your attention, but the fact that I upset both sides of that kind of worked for me, I guess. I don't know. It was fun. I enjoyed it. I got a lot of hate. I got a lot of laughs. My friends thought it was funny. So I really enjoyed it. I don't know if you did but at the end of the day, I can say that I drank one brand for an entire month straight, and I'll never do it again.
Well, there you go. But I did find it interesting because, it wasn't like it was just, hey, I'm going to have Blanton's and that's it. You were able to mix up a little bit and try it in different ways.
Right.
How was that? Because I feel like that's also interesting to take a look at of, one, how the different expressions of it can differ, and then two, how it plays with an old fashioned or a Manhattan or something like that.
I mean, at the beginning, I was like, I'm going to open this one bottle. I'm just going to drink this one bottle the entire time. And after like 4 or 5 days of doing that, I'm like, I can't do just one bottle. I can't do just standard 93 proof Blanton's. So I quickly was like, hey, I think I've got it straight from the barrel open somewhere. If not, I'll open it. Same thing with my gold. So I wanted to branch out to kind of spice things up a bit, And then with the cocktails, I really just did that. I mean, most of the videos of my cocktails, they're just terrible cocktails, and I really just did it to see if I'd upset anyone. But Blanton's makes a hell of an old fashioned, and I'm not sorry to say that, but I mean, it's seriously some of the best old fashions I've had this year were during the month of February using Blanton's.
See, and you learn something, and people can learn off that too.
Yeah, man.
Too. So, I mean, at the end, you look back now, and obviously it's kind of funny. It's kind of, I guess you can say, hey, I tried Blanton's for a whole month, but what was your biggest takeaway from that? Because even if we take Blanton's out of the picture, for you personally, and maybe for other whiskey drinkers, what's probably the one thing that you kind of can take away, or maybe a couple things, whether it's mix things up or just you can have a daily drinker, and that's a-okay too.
Yeah, I mean, my thing is do what works for you. I don't like to drink the same thing every day. I might drink the same thing 2 or 3 days in a row and then spice it up. But I mean, if you're someone who wants to drink Evan Williams Black Label and you drink that 365 days a year and you're fine with that, awesome. But drink what you want. Don't drink what you think you need to drink, what you should drink. If you hate barrel proof bourbon but your friends love it, who cares? I mean, that's just more for them, and you can go buy stuff that you enjoy. That was pretty much probably my biggest takeaway, because so many people told me how I should or should not be drinking it. But at the end of the day, it's my whiskey, and I'm going to drink it how I want to and drink what I want to.
And are you a bigger fan of Blanton's, or did it drop further?
I plead the fifth.
Well, Chad, I appreciate you coming on for another Tasting Notes. It's fun as always.
Hey, thank you. I appreciate you having me.
Remember to check out Hops and Spirits on social media at Hops Spirits, all one word, on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and Twitter. You can also find Hops and Spirits on YouTube and at hopsspirits.com.
Joining us here on the Bar Conversations is chart-topping country artist and host of Sportsman Channel series GSM's Hoge Wild, Lucas Hoge. Did I say it right?
You got it, man. Good job.
I told you I was worried before I hit the record button I was going to screw it up. I got to ask, how many times does that name get butchered when you're out and about?
It gets butchered more times than they get it right. I'm pretty impressed when people get it right. It's pretty funny. There's another artist and an amazing songwriter here in town by the name of Will Hoge and Josh Hoge. And thank God for their last name spelling it the same way and everything. So it helps.
Well, that is good, because like I said, I mean, there's just seeing it spelled that way. I've heard it other ways too, and that's how they pronounce it other ways. So I was really trying to make sure I got it right tonight. So I'm 1 for 1. So
good deal.
Now, I always ask this. It's Bar Conversations. We always have a drink. I'm drinking a little Ransom bourbon from the Pacific West out in Oregon. It's a nice little
nice.
You got anything good tonight in your cup?
I'm drinking tequila right here. It's cucumber and jalapeno infused tequila with a little club soda, and a little bit of lime. Yeah.
So, do you like things spicy then? Are you a spicy food, spicy everything kind of guy?
Oh yeah, man. I love spice. The hotter the better. I've got some stuff that a buddy of mine brought me. You have to get it from Afghanistan, and it comes in kilos, and it comes in this plastic, like hard container, and you have to handle it with like rubber gloves, and you can't let it get in the air because it'll get. I mean, it's like nasty stuff, man. But it tastes
almost
so good.
Contraband.
Exactly.
Well, and I heard you were just in South Africa for the show. How was South Africa?
Incredible. I didn't want to leave. We were having so much fun. We were over there for about a little over 2.5 weeks, and just had an amazing time. I mean, first 4 days we were just kind of doing a shutterbug tour and driving around and just taking pictures of cheetahs. I mean, we were within like 20 feet of cheetahs and their cubs and elephants and monkeys and you name it, everything. And then 9 days later, I went on my own safari hunt, which was amazing. Well,
I was gonna say, I think I saw a picture on social media where you guys were doing that shutterbug part, and he just opened up a bar on the front of the Jeep, and he was ready to have a good time.
Man, I want one of those Land Cruisers so bad. Those things are so cool. They literally have these grill mounts on the front, obviously for pushing, but then it turns into a table, and then they have the whole gear, and they've got the aluminum cups, and I mean they went all out. It was just awesome. And the sun was setting over the Joshua trees, and there was like a watering hole. I mean, it was like the perfect African scene, like when Simba and Pumbaa are walking across the log. I was waiting for them to come over.
I was going to say, how does one end up hosting a TV show on the Sportsman Channel? Like, how did that happen?
Many years of cultivating amazing relationships. Like I say in my show, it's like my guitar's been my passport this entire time. Since I was a kid, I grew up in the outdoors in a little bitty town, Hubble, Nebraska, 44 people, just super small. And that was our playground, was the outdoors, no matter what. We were hunting and fishing, trapping, whatever we could do before and after school, after football practice, whatever it was, on the weekends. I mean, that was just what we did as kids. And I just wanted to keep that going throughout my life. And my guitar is what kind of opened me up to even more grander versions of hunting and fishing that I never thought in a million years that I'd ever get to, because some of these places I've gotten to go are like white glove, high dollar. It's like the rarity of me actually getting to go on some of these trips was pretty amazing. So just because I was playing a show for somebody or something like that, where they introduced me to somebody or they wanted to take me on a trip with them, and I started meeting everybody I could, going to a SHOT Show and all the conventions and just talking to everybody, sitting down with the people at Outdoor Sportsman's Group and all the other networks as well, and just being like, hey, if I wanted to do something like this, what would that look like, And they're like, well, it takes this and this and this. I'm like, all right. So me and my wife started doing it like years ago, and finally came to fruition in 2020, where we were able to start the show and launched during the pandemic, which was good and bad. The fact that everybody was inside watching TV, my numbers were amazing. But man, it was kind of good because we were off the road a bunch, able to, in the outdoors, everybody's social distanced anyway. Hunters are pretty social distant the way anyway,
yeah.
Because we're in tree stands and box blinds, and as far away from people as we can get. But so it was great to be able to get everything in the can like that and start the show, and we really did a good job. And the first year was great, second year was amazing, but this third year is going to be out of sight, off the charts, man. We're being in Africa. Probably 3 or 4 episodes in Africa, and then we were in Alaska on a friend of mine's it's a fishing yacht. It's like what's that
it's
show?
Not a small boat.
Below Deck Alaska. Yeah. Pretty much Below Deck Alaska instead of Below Deck wherever the heck they are. It was incredible. They got captain, crew, chef, everybody, and then we're catching everything, and they're serving it up like right behind us. It's just amazing.
I was going to say, getting to travel everywhere you've been able to go, what's one that always stands out to you that you just always think of, or maybe your favorite place that you've gotten to go so far?
Man, I've been so blessed to be able to travel all over this world, not only for, playing for our troops and things like that, but when I've never been able to go out of the country to hunt. So the first ever out of the country hunting experience was in New Zealand in 2020, actually. And that was just the coolest thing in the world for me. Granted, it take us 30 hours from doorstep to doorstep, but man, it was worth every second, because we were hunting red stag and fallow deer and sika and everything, and it was just a fantastic trip. And not only was the hunting great, but just the sheer beauty of everything around you, it's just incredible, and that country is so clean. They literally make you scrub your boots before you go in, because they will confiscate your boots or ask you to leave. Or throw you in jail.
Well, being what has always just drawn you to the outdoors? I know you grew up in a small town in Nebraska, right? And
Mm-hmm.
like you said, it's that is the fun of what you could do. But still, even at this age and doing what you're doing, what still draws you there? And then to be able to share the great outdoors with other people, and your love of nature and everything that comes with it.
You said it right there. It's just the love of nature and just the scenery, and I love the water. I love scuba diving. I love everything about it, and because there's so much untapped, adventures out there that people haven't seen yet, and I want to bring them as close as I can to it. And I just love experiencing everything about what this land has to offer, from like a scuba diving to jumping out of airplanes to, turkey hunting in my backyard, or and bringing somebody else who's never experienced those things is one of the coolest things for me. A buddy of mine, Casey Timmer, he's been on 2 or 3 episodes of my show already, because he he grew up in Spokane, Washington, but he never really did anything except fish. He never hunted or anything like that. So I was able to get him his first white-tailed deer, his first turkey last season, and now I think I'm going to take him to Belize and see if he wants to do some deep sea fishing with me and maybe some spear fishing and get him into that. But I love seeing his face and people like that who just haven't experienced those, grand, epic outdoor adventures, and whether it's, like I said, turkey hunting or deer hunting or scuba diving or fishing, whatever, it's just, man, everything's so different and it's all the same at the same time. So it's pretty cool to be able to share those first experiences with people that have never done before.
I was gonna say, I mean, it's got to be cool to give someone an opportunity that they probably wouldn't get otherwise. And growing up in that small town in Nebraska, how much did that impact just your career overall? Obviously, I mean, it made you an outdoorsman, country music. I mean, like whether it's music or outdoorsman, how much did just where you grew up impact you and shape you, who you became?
I mean, honestly, I don't know who I'd be if I wasn't there, honestly, because I believe that growing up in that small town shaped me into the guy that I am today. I've never met a stranger, so I mean, I love talking to everybody and anybody who wants to have a conversation because I feel like I've been around this world a couple times that I can find some sort of common thread, whether we're on different sides of the fence or whatever. But it's like, it's just one of those things that I wouldn't trade it for the world. I mean, I feel like my heart's still back there sometimes, and I'm off traveling and here in Nashville, and I love going back home as much as possible. And I don't get to go home enough, but I'd say it shaped the heck out of me, honestly.
I was going to say, speaking of that hometown, is it legit 44 people? Is that
Yeah.
the number, or has it gone up or down?
It's gone up, actually. When I was there, I've got a picture of the sign coming in. I think they should just put like a little revolving sign on it. So it's like when you drive in, it goes to 45. And when you drive out, it goes back to 44. But I think it's 66 right now or 68, something like that. So the numbers are increasing.
But I love just that hometown feeling because, like you said, you never met a stranger coming from there. But I think I read a really cool story where they helped pretty much send you off to Nashville to start your career. I mean, they raised, $2,500 to kind of give you that opportunity. I mean, I don't know too many places that are willing to always do that for someone.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. We so Hubble is where my mom and dad have a little farm. There's 44 people there, and then like 7 miles straight east or 7 miles straight west is Chester, Nebraska, and then 13 miles on west of that is Byron, Nebraska. So all three towns had to consolidate to make one, school, kindergarten through 12th grade in Chester. And they had a nice auditorium there where we did all of our, productions in high school and whatnot, and concert band and all that stuff. And me and my dad and my brother have been touring around our little counties there and playing where everybody listened, right? And we do little shows and have our other singing friends come over. So I was like, you know what? I want to do a kind of like a mini Opry at the auditorium, and kind of just hey, thanks everybody for coming to the shows over the years. And then all of a sudden it turned into, hey, we're doing a free will donation because I'm leaving tomorrow for Nashville. And the place started just going crazy. It was awesome. Had a bunch of friends of mine that were playing music with us. So we do kind of Opry style. Everybody come out and do 2 or 3 songs and rotate out. And then the women of the community were all quilters or bakers. So they started auctioning off quilts and baked goods and paintings. And man, it was so cool. I've still got one quilt that my mom made, and everybody from counties around who came to the show signed it and said farewell and hope it goes well. And here we are today.
I was gonna say, but that's an amazing thing to just be able to think back of. I mean, if nothing else, you always have that to look back on and just go, man, to think where I started and where I'm at now. I mean, just an amazing journey.
It really is, man. Like I said, I've been pretty blessed. It's been a hard road. I ain't going to say that it hasn't. Every day's hard in the music business, no matter what you're in, no matter what business you're doing. If you're kind of self-employed, doing your own thing, right? It's just everybody's like, man, I just want to work for myself. I'm like, yeah, but you're going to work 10 times harder than you are. You got a 9 to 5, because you don't sleep. Everything is poured into your blood, sweat, and tears goes into every single day. And you can't waste a single second because you don't know where that next paycheck's coming. It's not coming from corporate America.
No, you are the CEO, the VP, the secretary, the janitor. You are all rolled into one. how did you end up in music? Because I think I read, you started playing guitar at 17, but I think you had a love for music even before then. Like, how did you end up in music, or just find that love of music?
Well, so my dad was in a bunch of like music groups back in his college days, and he was singing the entire time that us kids were growing up as well. And he'd sing, where the local karaoke guy was running around, he'd be singing the tracks wherever he could go. And then my brother got hooked on it, and all that stuff. But it started way back when I was just probably 5-6 years old, and the little country church that we started in, I think at the peak congregation there might have been 15 people there, because there was actually 2 or 3 churches in Hubble, so there's more people going to church than there that live there. And we went to the Methodist church. Yeah. Exactly, doubled in size. And they were the choir and all that stuff. So mom and dad and some of the other people from the community and the preacher were all the choir. So when they'd go practice at the parsonage, they'd sit me in the corner, and the preacher brought me out like an electronic little drum pad, right? So I could just play around with it or whatever. And then, a few weeks go by, and I start keeping like perfect time with him. I'm only like 5 or 6 years old. And the preacher kind of took me under her wing. She's like, okay, you've got some natural, built-in rhythm here. Let's kind of mold this. So she took me into the local music teacher at the high school before I was even in kindergarten. She's like, hey, this kid's going to be coming to school here next year, blah, blah, blah. And my brother and sisters were all there, so I knew Mrs. Riggs. She was the best music teacher ever. And she was like, okay, we're going to start him on the drums. And I just fell in love with the drums. You get to bang on stuff all day long.
Of course.
And just excelled at that, and then knew that I wanted to start picking up other instruments. So I started learning how to play the piano, and slowly started getting into guitar, but knew that was, doing this, both hands was hard. The piano helped, but it was challenging. But, those kind of musical instruments started coming natural to me, and I just fell in love with it. And I really didn't pick up singing that much. I knew I could sing a little bit. I was in choir and all that stuff, but it wasn't until my dad and my brother were all singing at a little, track night, karaoke night or whatever, and they got up there and they sang one of my favorite Alan Jackson songs, and I was like, man, I'm jealous, because they're up there on stage singing together, and I'm like, I want to try this, but I'm too shy or too timid to do it on stage. So I talked to the guy who was running the rig, and he's like, yeah, I got a little studio at the house. Why don't you come over tomorrow, and we'll throw you on some cans and see if you can sing. And I sang a couple songs, and he hit stop, and he's like, okay, you're coming to every show from now on. You gotta sing. So I was like, okay, this is cool. Started building my confidence up, and that's when it kind of all started from there.
Well, and obviously country music's where you landed, mm-hmm. But you were a little different in college. You had a southern rock band and a worship band as well. Like, what was the balance on all of this?
Yeah, it started out. People call it a southern rock band, but the name of the band was called Southern Cross, which had nothing to do with either. It was just a mishmash of anything goes type of thing. It wasn't a religious band, and it wasn't a rock band. It was just, hey, we're just going to sing songs at bars. And I remember performing with the big black X's on my hand because I was too young to drink. So they almost didn't let me sing, but they're like, this is our lead singer, man. And Southern Cross has been going around, had been touring in that area for years. I mean, it was just like, hey, we need a new lead singer. And I was really bad at playing guitar still, so I was still learning. It was pretty funny. And I fell in love with those guys. That was a great band. I think they're still touring around Nebraska and in the Midwest. And then I had a worship band going on called Extreme Devotion, where I was the drummer and frontman for that. And it was so much fun, doing that. And on I think it was Thursdays and Wednesdays at the UNL campus there in Lincoln. It was awesome. Had a great time. But then I started my own country band called Borderline at the same time. So I was like mixing it all up.
You were staying busy.
Yeah, I was trying to grab onto anything and sing everything that I could. And I guess it paid off. But when I decided I want to move to Nashville, nobody wanted to go with me. They all had families, and I was just ready to go.
Hey, but I mean, in the end, it worked out. I mean, obviously you ended up on the Opry stage. I mean, sharing the stage also with legends. I mean, what's the whole journey been like for you in the music game? There's been obviously, like anything else, there's highs and lows. Definitely, you get kicked down
and you just got to keep going and know that this is what God's plan for you, and that's what you're meant to do, and hopefully that He keeps steering the path and you keep going down the right road, because it's easy to get off on the wrong road in this industry, that's for sure. But yeah, it's been, eye-opening, rewarding, challenging, just everything that you can possibly think of. We've had to go through it. You get suckered into things when you first move to town. You're young and naive and dumb and don't know nothing about the industry, and somebody takes advantage of you, and you finally meet some people that they're like, man, you need to stay away from these kind of people, and and it's like finally you narrow it down to where it's like that road starts smoothing out a little bit.
You don't need that off-road Jeep anymore, right?
Yeah, I'm done. I don't need any more speed bumps.
You talk about growing up in a church and just kind of singing anything and everything. I mean, what were some of your musical influences or people that you loved to listen to or just wanted to be like growing up that have stuck with you to this day?
Honestly, man, it's all across the board, because I was the youngest of four. I had an older brother and two older sisters, and anytime they played the radio, I didn't get to mess with the knobs. I had to listen to whatever they listened to. So my brother was pretty hardcore country, and then my sisters were all like rock and pop and all that stuff. So I got a good mixture of everything. But then my mom and dad were kind of always pushing like singer-songwriter people on me too, which I fell in love with that stuff right away. So when I was a kid, I was listening to like Skip Ewing and Paul Overstreet and Michael Peterson and those guys who were writing the hits and who were also amazing artists in themselves as well. But those were the people that I really gravitated towards, was Skip Ewing, and I just love the way he could craft a song and deliver a song as well. But on the performance side, obviously Garth Brooks was a huge influence, the way he could perform, and George Strait and all those guys, just loved every second of them. But I also love the rock stuff too. I love Aerosmith and Stone Temple Pilots and you name it, man. I just loved it all. And Warren G. I just loved listening to anything I could, because I felt that there was a common vein in a lot of that stuff where you could almost pull out some of the lyrics and put it over top of R&B stuff or hip hop or vice versa with country. And it was just fun to mix around those kinds of things. It's really cool.
I was gonna say, I mean, when there's a good story to be told in a song, I feel like it can transcend anything, and it can, like you said, it doesn't matter whether it was hip hop or country. Yeah. You can find something in there that relates.
Exactly.
Now you have a new single out, correct? Since you are a country artist, you're still doing that. That's still a gig of yours. Can you talk a little bit about Stay in Touch?
Yeah, well, I'm trying to stay in touch out there right now. So Stay in Touch, is a song I wrote with my good friends CJ Solar and Andrew Scott Wills. They're both great, amazing songwriters who've got tons of accolades under their belt and written for tons of great people. And this was just one of those songs that we were just sitting there in the writing room one day, and I started playing this funky little kind of groove up and down the neck, and CJ started talking about this thing. He's like, man, this is a breakup, and let's make it, a fun breakup where it's not like the same old everybody's down in the mouth, whatever. I'm like, yeah, sounds great, man. So it's like a friends with benefits type of song, It just turned out great, My buddy Forrest Glenn Whitehead, who's an amazing songwriter and producer in himself, he produced this track on me, and it turned out great. So hopefully it'll do pretty good. It's just out there on DSP right now, and we're just figuring out the whole what's the next step. We got tons of singles coming out this year. I mean, probably got 6 singles coming out. And then there'll probably at the end of the year be an album of some sort, a compilation where you put them together. But nobody's releasing full albums anymore. It's crazy. They're just doing singles at a time, and seeing what pops. So it's definitely the music business changes overnight. So
I was going to say, I think I remember reading something or just people talking like, if a producer or record label exec from like the 50s and 60s came to the day, they'd be like, I know this game. It's just singles and
exactly.
But being able to write and kind of have fun with it, or just share experiences or ideas. What's that like for you, and the process for you of either coming up with a song or picking a song that you want to record or release?
Yeah, I mean, I really enjoy it, especially if you're in a room with friends that you've been writing with for years, and you might have been struggling the last couple times writing a song, or something comes out. You always get something, but sometimes you're just hoping to get that magic. You don't always get the magic every day, which would be nice, right? Because we'd all just have hit songs every single day.
Like you don't get the deer every time you go for the hunt.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you. Great analogy. I haven't thought of that one, so that's perfect. Yeah, it's just like hunting. They don't call it, hitting. Hit songwriting today. We're just going to write hits. But yeah, it's just fun, get in a room. Obviously, we have tons of fun, and that's the key. Is if you're not having fun, scrap it and start over. Come back tomorrow and do something else,
Well, I mean, I've talked to talking to guys that are in like the beer industry and stuff like that, and coming up with just fun names. They're like, sometimes you just got to write them on the board, get them out of your system, and the next thing you know, the good one comes through. And I'm guessing for a writer, that's the same way.
Oh, absolutely. We've got some songs some of my favorite songs are probably songs that you may never hear because they're either too bad or they're just one of the fun songs, I think we're going to release them anyway. I've got some great ones that I can't wait to get out there. I've done some stuff on TikTok that was starting to pop off. One's called Duck Blind, and then another one's called Best Friend's Mom. And they get some pretty good reaction, so we might have to.
And who would have thought, when you started that, social media could be what makes you release a song?
Man, it really is, honestly, and that's crazy. So many friends of mine are like, used to be big CEOs at record labels and stuff, and they're like, man, I had to get out because we were signing, so-and-so artists that, popped off on a social media channel, and they were like, we don't want to do that, I'm like, well, you kind of have to because that's what's gearing, the industry these days. So, I mean, it's crazy when you can have a song that really pops off and you're getting millions and millions of views overnight. I mean, it's kind of undeniable. And some friends of mine that have been on labels that got dropped from labels finally have a platform where they're just releasing songs and they're going crazy. And the label shut them down, or didn't let them release it. And now they're kind of like, see, I told you so. It's kind of back to the it's like back to when the artist, when they listen to the artist. Who would have thought?
It is wild to think of that. Now you did say, so you got new music and maybe an album at the end of the year. So I'm guessing you're ready to get back and play some stuff and do some things in the country music world, right?
Oh yeah. We've got some great shows. I'm doing some shows with Justin Moore and Granger Smith this year, and all over the Midwest. And we did a show in Africa that did so well. That was so much fun over there, when we finally get shows where people are coming out and it's, back to normal. Feels normal anyway, as much as possible. So it's still a little crazy out there on the road, but I think we're starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel, and people are starting to finally come back out and start having fun again.
And I was going to say, I mean, between, your sportsman career, and the show there, and then obviously playing music, do you ever get time to just relax? Or is you relaxing when you're out in the duck blind or on the boat fishing? I mean, what do you get downtime?
It used to be. Now it's not. There's a camera in your face, so you don't get relaxed there either. But, we try and take as much time as we possibly can. That's like when we went to Africa, we decided to take 4 days before we had to get to work. So we try and do that or stay a little longer on a different trip, things like that, and we do what we can. We're trying to make hay while the sun's shining. My wife's got an amazing business. She's killing it. She started in 2020. It's called Artistry Alliances, where her and her partner are just killing it right now, just having a great time. So we're both like, let's just do it while we can, We'll relax in the recliner, years from now, hopefully.
I feel like your spirit won't allow that. But you talk about the humanitarian efforts, beginning to play for the troops, supporting just charities in general. Why are some of those things so important to you and just something that you always want to do?
Well, I don't remember who told me or what philosophy I had, but it was, early on, I always saw my mom and dad giving back in different ways. We didn't have money to give back to, but we had our time, we had our talents or whatever we could give, and that's kind of where I learned it from, was when dad would volunteer his time to, sing at a charity event and raise money for something. We didn't have, like I said, deep pockets or any money to give, but we could give our time. And so I knew that I wasn't going to wait around until I had money, because that may never come, because I knew I wanted to give back on my journey as much as possible. And I've just always lived by that, just give back as much as you can. And it doesn't always have to be money. It just could be your time. It could be spending time with somebody. Like, there's different organizations in town called one's called Music Cares. They do so much for, the people here in this town, where they'll take artists and musicians and they'll walk through the hospital and they'll just sing songs. And, we're not giving checks or writing checks to people. We're just trying to bring smiles to people and things like that. And then I just try and give back in any way I can on that front.
And then I guess I'll wrap it up with this last question: is just what are you hoping for in 2022, or what can folks expect from you in 2022?
Well, I'm hoping for a really good year to erase the 2 bad years. Oh no, I mean, I got to say we were able to survive those 2 years like everybody else. But this year, I just hope people that enjoy the new music coming out, and I hope they come out to shows and not let anything scare them away from it, because it's time to get back to life and get back to fun and not live in fear anymore. And that's the biggest thing I want for people, is just to come out and start living their lives again and getting back to a little normal, and watch the show and let's have some fun out there.
I was gonna say, and when does season 3 of GSM's Hoge Wild drop?
Hoge Wild, you see, you got the.
I caught myself.
Hoge Wild, yeah, GSM's Hoge Wild will start June of this year, and man, it's going to be awesome. Like I said, we're all over the place. We're in Alaska, we're in Africa, we're going to be in Belize, Costa Rica, you name it, man. We're in some amazing places, and I can't wait to show everybody. And the fact that a lot of these places that we're going, it's super affordable, and that was my thing. Is like, people watching this are like, oh my gosh, he's on a yacht in the Virgin Islands. Nobody can do that, but you can, because it's really pretty cheap when you boil it down. If you get 3 or 4 couples to go with you on this boat, it's no more than going to a big theme park for the weekend with your kids. Really, it's absolutely. And I would much rather be on a yacht out in the beautiful blue waters of the Virgin Islands, catching lobster and fish and doing whatever, instead of waiting in line at a roller coaster. Come on.
I was going to say, live a little and have a little fun. And also your new single, Stay in Touch, is out. People can find that. They can go to lucashoge.com, HOGE. And then obviously social media as well. And Lucas, this has been a blast, and I really appreciate you sharing your story, your journey with me.
Me too, man. Thanks for having me on. Let's do a screenshot so we can post it. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Boom, I got you.
I appreciate it, man.
Thank you.